program is BALLB, the subject law, the semester first year degree semester 2, third year BALLB semester 5. The course code is FML 0215 and FML 0510. The course title is Family Law 2. The Unit 3, Administration of Gender Justice, and I am Pearl Montero from VM Salgaonkar College of Law. Welcome students. This is a very interesting topic wherein you will be learning the administration of gender justice with reference to the Constitution, the Indian Penal Code, the Evidence Act, the personal laws, the industrial laws, the protection of women from domestic violence, the Immoral Traffic Suppression Act, Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act, the Dowry Prohibition Act, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Prohibition of Sex Selection Act, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention and Protection Act, and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, or the POCSO Act. After listening to this, you will be able to understand the various legal provisions committed to procuring gender justice. Now, basically, gender justice is a concept wherein we want to see that all the genders, all three genders, women as well as third gender and men, are treated as far as practicable equally. Now, the first and the foremost provision which we will see is the Constitution and women. And as we all know, the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land. Now, the preamble has the avowed goal of equality as well as justice. Fundamental rights are equally applicable to all men, women, and third gender without any discrimination. And specifically, Article 15(1) prohibits gender discrimination, but at the same time, we have a special provision under Article 15(3) which enables the state to make special provisions for women and children. So, because of this article, the state can make special laws regarding women. For example, the Maternity Benefits Act, wherein provision is not given to men or to others. Similarly, various criminal, labor, industrial, service and procedural laws are made favoring women using this particular article. Women also find reservation in election to local bodies. The 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Constitution provide for reservation of seats for women in panchayats as well as municipalities. A right against exploitation is there in Article 23, which prohibits traffic in human beings, that is, buying and selling human beings as if they were cattle. So this includes the Devadasi system, and it also includes a prohibition of immoral trafficking. So the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act was passed with the aim of abolishing prostitution and other forms of trafficking. We also have directive principles of state policy which are geared towards gender justice. For example, Article 39A directs the state to secure equal and adequate means of livelihood for all citizens, men as well as women. Similarly, 39D directs the state to secure equal pay for equal work. And with this vision, the state has enacted the Equal Remuneration Act. 39E specifically directs the state not to abuse the health and strength of workers, both men and women. Article 42 directs the state to make provisions for securing just and humane conditions of work and for maternity relief. And Article 44 exhorts the state to enact a uniform civil code, which has not yet been done anywhere in India, but is there in Goa, that is the Portuguese Civil Code, which is uniform for all persons of all religions. Now, regarding sexual harassment of women, for a long time there was no legislation, and the Supreme Court had laid down guidelines in the case of Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, whereby the guidelines were meant to be followed to prevent the sexual harassment of women. Later in 2013, an act was passed which provides for prevention, prohibition and redressal in case a woman is harassed at the workplace. Now, regarding the personal laws and women, the main focus is on marriage, divorce, succession and maintenance. Now, under the divorce law, the Hindu woman has special grounds for judicial separation as well as divorce. They are remarriage by the husband. If the husband is found guilty of rape, sodomy or bestiality, if there is non-resumption of cohabitation in spite of a decree for maintenance of wife, and also the option of puberty, wherein if the marriage was solemnized during the minority of the parties concerned, they have the option to repudiate the marriage if it's non-consummated at the time of obtaining puberty. Now, Muslim women under the Shariat did not have so many grounds for divorce. They just had one or two traditional grounds. But the Dissolution of Muslim Marriages Act has given Muslim women the right to divorce if the husband is missing for 4 years, if the husband's failure to maintain the wife for 2 years, if the husband was imprisoned for 7 years, if the husband failed to perform marital obligation for 3 years, if the husband's impotent, insane, suffering from leprosy or venereal disease. Leprosy has been deleted by new amendment. Again, the option of puberty is there, and also the ground of cruelty is there. This is in addition to the customary laws which are permitting her divorce. Now, regarding succession, Hindu women and succession, Muslim women and succession among Christian women also, the provisions are there. Regarding maintenance and regarding succession, what we notice is that there is a difference in the three religions. That is, Hindu women's maintenance, Hindu women's succession is quite different from Muslim women and maintenance as well as succession. So regarding the Muslim women, generally speaking, the Shariat gives the male, all other things being equal, gives the male a double share as compared to the female, whereas for the Hindu woman, the succession is as regulated by the act. It is different from the male, but there is no such concept as double share for male and female. Now, regarding maintenance also, Muslim women traditionally have the right of maintenance only for the period of iddat, approximately 3 months after the divorce, or in case the lady is pregnant till the delivery of the child. However, all the religions have the option of maintenance under the Criminal Procedure Code, which provides maintenance irrespective of the religion. And the Muslim women, there is a new law of maintenance which she may opt for, wherein she would be granted maintenance under that law. Now, regarding the criminal law, a lot of provisions are there to protect women. For example, there is the provision of dowry death, wherein if certain circumstances are fulfilled, then the husband and his relatives would be liable for the dowry death of the wife, and they have to prove the innocence. The prosecution need not prove. If the circumstances are fulfilled, the prosecution need not prove beyond reasonable doubt that the dowry death was caused by such husband or relatives. Similarly, offences are there regarding miscarriage, injuries to unborn children, exposure of infants. If there is criminal force on women with intention to outrage her modesty, also regarding kidnapping, abducting of women, rape also is a punishable offence, which has been again amended and made more stringent after the Nirbhaya case. Similarly, compensation also is given to rape victims. It initiated in this particular case Delhi Domestic Working Women's Forum versus Union of India, but now it is well settled, and various central government schemes as well as state government schemes are there wherein compensation is given. Now, to stop the menace of dowry and bride burning, the Dowry Prohibition Act was passed, wherein imprisonment and fine is imposed in case dowry is taken or given. In industrial laws also, we have the Equal Remuneration Act, Maternity Benefits Act, as well as various provisions for safety and welfare of women. So Equal Remuneration Act says that men and women who are performing the same or similar work should be paid equally. Maternity Benefit Act gives paid leave to women during, before and after childbirth. Now, prohibition of women employment in certain cases is also there. For example, under the Factories Act, a woman would or a child would not be employed if any cotton opener is at work. Similarly, the Act makes provision for establishment of creches so that the woman can take care of a small baby within the establishment. There is similar provision under the Mines Act also, and the prohibition is that the woman would not be working underground in the night, and the woman also will not be working alone in any industrial premises in the night. That also provision is there in the Bidi and Cigar Workers Act. Similarly, sex determination tests and female foeticide is prohibited. The act for this is the Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Regulation and Prevention of Misuse Act. It was passed to prevent female foeticide. It punishes the person, the individual concerned. It can also punish the doctor and the clinic in case they violate the provisions of this act. Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, it provides for termination of the pregnancy, registered medical practitioners to be consulted, and the duration within which such pregnancy may be terminated is mentioned in the act. A special act to protect women from domestic violence was enacted in 2005. Here, any woman in any form of domestic relationship, whether it is wife, whether it is sister, mother, any woman in any, even a live-in relationship would be protected. Immoral Traffic Suppression Act was enacted to prevent the immoral trafficking of women. Similarly, Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act was passed to prevent women from being depicted in indecent manner, either in films or in advertisements, etc. There is also the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, wherein special provisions are made for both boys as well as girls to protect them, and perpetrators of such offences are punished. In order to make all these laws a reality, there is the National Commission for Women. Basically, the functions of this commission is to investigate and examine all matters and safeguards which are provided to women under the Constitution and other laws. They present report to the central government on the working of the laws, and it takes up matters involving deprivation of women's rights, etc. A good book for this would be G.B. Reddy, Women and Law by Gogia Law Agency, Hyderabad. Thank you.